You wake up, you set your alarm, you skip your morning meal, you sip that plain black coffee, and you tell yourself, yeah, today is the day I finally stick to it.
Right, you feel so sure of it.
Exactly. But then, by hour 14, you were just standing there.
Mhm.
You were staring into the deep, dark corners of your kitchen cabinet, and you are desperately trying to decide if one single spoon of peanut butter is going to ruin everything. You know that feeling?
Oh, I know it so well. And it is just a deeply common thing. We hear everywhere that fasting is this amazing tool for your body. But what nobody tells you, what we miss, is that most of us treat it like this blunt, one-size-fits-all trick for losing weight.
Yeah, totally ignoring what the body is actually trying to do.
Right. Treating a careful body process like a simple, just a basic calorie diet, it is a recipe for failure. What works great to help your friend feel amazing might trigger a massive stress response in your own body. Fasting is not just one simple state, you know. It is a sliding scale of events.
And the reason you find yourself just white-knuckling it at hour 14, it isn't a lack of willpower. I think we blame ourselves so much.
You really do.
But we are dealing with this modern thing, this rigid metabolism. If you are eating 3 normal meals, plus, snacking on protein bars or grabbing handfuls of nuts all day across 16 waking hours, your body is managing a constant flow of sugar.
It is a relentless daily cycle.
Right. The insulin is just rising and falling all day. And over years of doing this, along with the normal processed foods we all eat, your cell engines, they literally forget how to burn stored fat for fuel.
You've basically built a traffic jam inside your cells. The body is so used to easy, quick-burning sugar that the pathways needed to burn your stored body fat, they just become dull. They shut down.
Wow, so the body just forgets.
Exactly. That is why you get those brutal midday energy crashes or that heavy brain fog a couple of hours after lunch. Your body is screaming for its next sugar hit because it lost the tools to smoothly shift into fat-burning mode.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because today, we are taking a really deep dive into the natural timeline of fasting. We want to break down what actually happens, hour by hour, when you stop eating.
Yeah, the real inner workings of it all.
Right. We're going to look at why these popular habits give wild, totally different results based on things like your gender, your age, and the health of your gut. By the end of this chat, we want to help you see how to make this work for your own personal body.
Because to understand which time window to use, we first have to map out the clock inside you. Fasting is not just the act of, well, not eating. It is a highly active sequence of signals that turn some pathways off and turn others on.
Let's walk through that clock then. Like in those first 4 to 6 hours after your last bite of food. You aren't really fasting at all, are you?
Not at the cell level, no. During that first 4 to 6 hours, your body is in a building phase. You are actively breaking down food parts and moving them into the blood.
So you're just processing dinner.
Right. Insulin levels stay high because your body is using it to push sugar into your muscle and liver cells for quick use or storage. You are strictly running on the fuel you just ate.
Got it. Then we hit the 8 to 12 hour mark. For most people, this is right around when their alarm goes off in the morning.
And right around that 8 to 12 hour mark, a major shift happens. Your liver holds about 100 grams of stored sugar, which is your body's quick access backup tank. As that liver tank starts to run empty just from keeping you going overnight, your insulin levels drop hard. And this drop in insulin is the key signal. It tells your body fat to release stored energy into the blood. You are finally flipping the switch from sugar burning to fat burning.
But, and this is the trap, right? If you just pour oat milk into your morning coffee or grab a quick piece of toast right then, you spike your insulin again.
You do.
And you shut that fat-burning engine right back off.
Exactly. The switch flips back.
But if you push through, into that 12 to 16-hour window, we trigger a process that is just so interesting to me, the cell cleanup phase.
Yeah, the scientific read translates from Greek to self-eating, which sounds a bit scary.
Very scary.
But it is actually one of the most vital health pathways we have.
I always picture this cleanup phase like a city's fleet of street sweepers, but with a highly advanced recycling plant attached to them.
Oh, that's a great way to view it.
Because when your body's streets are packed with a heavy traffic of constant eating and moving food around, those sweepers, they can't do their job. They stay parked in the garage.
And you empty roads.
Right. It is only when the roads are completely clear of food traffic, around that 12 to 16-hour mark, that the sweepers finally come out. But they aren't just tossing things in the trash.
No, not at all.
They are hunting down old cells, broken proteins, and tired cell engines, and breaking them down into fresh building blocks. They use those materials to build brand new, highly active cell structures.
That recycling plant idea is the crucial point. This cleanup is a quality control system for your cells. There's this idea that this fasting cleanup is truly the base for healthy aging and keeping your brain sharp.
Wow, just from taking a break from eating.
Yes. And if you keep going, pushing the fast into the 16 to 20-hour zone, the liver really ramps up. Your liver takes those fat stores and turns them into ketones. Ketones provide this highly clean burning fuel that creates that intense mental clarity people often talk about on longer fasts.
Because that cell cleanup doesn't really hit its peak until around hour 16, that totally changes how we look at the most popular fasting styles. A 12-hour fast isn't just a mini version of a 20-hour fast,
No, they're different worlds.
because with 12 hours, you are stopping the process before the sweepers even leave the garage. So let's look at 16-8. 16 hours of fasting, 8 hours of eating.
What's so interesting here is that the length of the window sets the whole scene in your body. The 16-8 split sits at a very practical spot. It is long enough to safely empty the liver tank, drop the insulin, and start that recycling process.
But the 8 hours gives you enough time to actually eat real food.
Exactly. The eating window is wide enough to get the food you need. For most people, a 16-8 split offers real progress in how the body handles sugar without causing extreme stress. It is a very normal, sustainable baseline.
Then you tighten that window down to 18-6. 18 hours fasting, just 6 hours to eat.
With 18-6, the time spent in deep fat burning and active cell cleanup is drawn out longer. You see a higher level of ketones. But a 6-hour eating window requires serious meal planning. The main risk here is lack of food by accident.
Right, just getting full too fast.
Yeah, you're asking your stomach to process an entire day's worth of vitamins and healthy fats in a very tight rush.
Which brings us to the extreme end of the scale, the 20-4 split. Just 4 hours to eat. Now, I have to push back on this a bit.
Go ahead.
If cell cleanup and fat burning all get better the longer you wait, shouldn't a 20-hour fast be the gold standard? Why wouldn't we all just adapt to a 4-hour eating window to get the most cell repair possible?
Well, that assumes the human body is a perfect math problem. But we are limited by how fast we can take in protein. The body process of building and keeping muscle has a very strict, hard ceiling.
Really, a hard limit.
Yes. The system that builds muscle is turned on by a specific protein trigger. Once you eat enough protein to hit that trigger, the system maxes out. For the average person, you can really only use about 30 to 40 grams of protein for muscle building in a single meal.
So the system is just totally bottlenecked.
Exactly. Due to that bottleneck, you face a serious problem if you only eat for 4 hours. Say your unique body needs 150 grams of protein daily just to maintain the lean muscle you already have. You can't just cram all of that into a 4-hour window and expect your body to use it.
That just doesn't work that way.
No. Anything past that 40-gram limit per meal is mostly wasted. The extra is either burned for quick energy or pushed out as waste. Because of this natural limit, people who only eat for 4 hours a day over a long time often start losing their skeletal muscle mass.
You're basically trading your body's health currency. You get a few extra hours of ketone burning, but you sacrifice your lean muscle tissue to do it.
And muscle is vital.
Right. Considering muscle is your body's biggest sponge for soaking up extra sugar, losing muscle actually sets you up for worse sugar problems down the line. It's a terrible trade.
It really is.
And this leads us to the reality that even the safe, easy 16-8 window can backfire hard depending on who is doing the fasting. Personal body traits are everything. Fasting affects men and women through entirely different hormone pathways.
That is so true. The female hormone system is highly sensitive to the world around it, mainly to how much energy is coming in. This radar is run largely by a tiny brain signal called kisspeptin.
Kisspeptin. It sounds like something to do with romance.
It does sound like that, but its actual job is acting as the main gatekeeper for hormone health. Kisspeptin constantly checks the energy and sugar levels in the blood to gauge whether the body has enough fuel to safely support the whole system. When a woman goes through heavy, long fasting, the sudden drop in food signals a famine setting. Kisspeptin production drops fast.
So the brain senses the 18-hour fast, concludes that food is gone, and just throws the emergency brake on the whole system.
Exactly. It is a brilliant survival tool. When kisspeptin drops, it blocks the release of other key signals. That right away lowers hormone health. Within a single month, a woman can feel the effects. Things like hair loss, feeling cold, extreme tiredness, or losing a normal cycle.
Wow.
The stories really show that women going through normal life changes respond much better to gentler, natural windows. Things like 14 hours fasting and 10 hours eating, combined with a strict focus on rich foods to keep that kisspeptin alarm from ringing.
Age acts as another massive body variable, too. Adults over 50 go through a totally different cell response to fasting.
Yes. As we age, our muscles become a bit stubborn. The main pathway that drives muscle growth becomes less responsive to protein. An older adult needs a much stronger and more frequent protein signal to pull them out of a muscle breakdown state. Plus, the baseline growth hormones that protect muscle naturally drop as we get older.
So if an older adult packs all their food into a tiny 6-hour window, they are starving their aging muscles of those vital, frequent protein triggers throughout the day. It just speeds up muscle loss.
Exactly.
Consider a story we were looking at. A woman named Priya. She is 52 in her early 50s, dealing with all these strange changes in her body shape, deep afternoon energy crashes, and constant belly-tight feeling, bloating.
That's a very common mix of feelings.
And she was terrified of trying a tough fasting habit because she had a history of severely avoiding food in her 20s. So instead of jumping into a 16-8 habit, she started with a gentle 12 hours of fasting. Slowly, she moved to a 14-hour fast with a 10-hour eating window. But she spent those 10 hours focusing deeply on her gut health and her daily sleep rhythm.
A 14-10 window is incredibly smart for someone with her body state. The daily bloating she was feeling points directly to a tired, overwhelmed digestive tract. By giving her system 14 solid hours of true rest, she allowed her gut sweeper to finally turn on.
And her results were amazing. Her stomach felt completely normal by week 6. By week 10, the bloating she thought was just a normal part of getting older had vanished, and her energy smoothed out. She didn't need to starve herself for 18 hours. She just needed to align her eating with her natural body clock.
Which is a perfect moment to say clearly that fasting is just not for everyone.
Right. Definitely not.
If you are expecting a child or nursing, if you have a history of food struggles, if you deal with severe sugar issues, or if you are young and your brain and body are still growing, these fasting rules are not for you.
The health world is very clear on those limits. The big irony here is that the modern wellness market sells fasting as a magic cure for everything. Just get breakfast and watch the magic happen.
Oh, yeah. The marketing is everywhere.
But human biology demands a highly personal view. And here's where it gets really interesting, because the most powerful piece deciding if your fast works isn't even human. It is the billions of tiny bugs living in your gut.
The gut bugs and their response to fasting is perhaps the most exciting part of all this. We used to think of the gut bugs only in terms of what we fed them, like eat fiber to feed the bugs, but we now know that these helpful bacteria have their own daily sleep cycles. They are deeply moved by when you eat.
When we are constantly snacking from the moment we wake up until we go to sleep, we are actively wearing out our gut bug balance.
If we look at the bigger picture, the gut goes through a total change during a fast. When there is a total break from food coming in, certain types of bug families actually begin eating the heavy lining of the gut wall. This bug pruning process forces the gut wall to heal and produce fresh, healthy lining. And even more vital, fasting turns on that mechanical sweeper I mentioned earlier with Priya.
The gut sweeper. It sounds like a street cleaning truck for your stomach.
It acts exactly like one. This sweeper is a moving wave that travels from the top down through the lower gut. It happens every 90 to 120 minutes, but, and this is the core of it, it only starts working during a fully fasted state.
So it needs the quiet.
Yes. It physically sweeps out leftover food parts, old cell waste, and mostly it pushes extra bacteria down into the lower gut where they belong. The very moment you eat even a small handful of food, the sweeper shuts down completely.
Wow. So if you are snacking all day, that internal sweeper never gets to clean the roads. The bacteria stay in the upper gut, cooking the food too early, which leads directly to that constant belly puffiness and pain that so many people suffer from. We also see how daily fasting strongly boosts the growth of very helpful bug families.
Those helpful gut bugs are basically tiny factories for making key body fuels. The main one helps feed the cells that line your lower gut. When you have lots of this fuel, those cells stay tight together, stopping leaky gut issues and hugely lowering the total swelling and stress in your whole body.
It takes roughly 2 to 4 weeks of daily fasting to actually feel these bug shifts settle in. But wait, if I am doing all this difficult inner work, letting the sweeper clean the gut, dropping the insulin, helping the bug balance, What happens when the fasting window ends? If I break a 16-hour fast with a heavily processed frozen meal, what actually happens to the cells?
You trigger a massive stress response. Fasting is merely the setup phase. It prepares the body's soil by making your sugar sensors very open. What you do during your eating window decides the actual harvest.
That makes a lot of sense.
If you break a clean fast with deeply processed foods, simple sugars, and cheap cooking oils, that highly sensitive system absorbs all of it fast. You flood the blood with sugar, causing a huge spike that undoes all the careful balance you just spent 16 hours building.
So the food choices in that eating window dictate the success of the whole thing. People call this building a daily habit stack. First, you have to directly feed that new gut landscape.
Yeah.
You break the fast with fermented foods like fresh sauerkraut, kefir, or kimchi, bringing in live good bugs.
Yes, that is step one.
Then you pair that with fiber from beans or greens, which act as the direct food source for those helpful bugs we just talked about.
The second pillar of that stack is using plant compounds. You find these rich compounds in deep-colored berries, dark leafy greens, green tea, and high cacao dark chocolate. When plants face harsh weather or stress, they make these compounds. When we eat them, our bodies sense that mild stress and react by turning on a master energy gauge.
Wow.
Turning on that gauge actually mimics the chemical signals of fasting.
So by eating these dark plant foods, you're basically tricking your body into keeping the benefits of the fast running even while you are actively digesting food. That is an amazing natural hack.
It truly is.
And of course, the stack needs high-quality protein to overcome that trigger limit we discussed. We're talking good eggs, wild-caught fatty fish, or high-quality meats, aiming to actively save your muscle tissue. But this daily stack isn't just about food. The fasting cycle is deeply tied to the sun's rhythm. You have to match your light habits.
Sunlight is the master clock setter. When bright morning light hits your eyes within the first 30 minutes of waking, it sends a quick spark directly to the main brain clock. That brain clock then sends matching signals down to the smaller clocks located in your liver, your gut bugs, and your muscle tissue.
So if your main clock isn't set by morning light, your gut clocks operate completely out of tune, strongly dragging down the hormone benefits of the fast.
Exactly. They get lost.
You also have to guard your sleep. One single night of poor sleep can create quick sugar issues, totally wiping out the good sugar balance from your fasting window. And you really need to include a few days of lifting weights or heavy work. You have to give your body a real daily reason to hold on to that lean tissue.
It all connects.
There's this story about a guy, let's call him Sam. Sam didn't just pick a random fasting window. He built a full daily stack. He used a 16-8 schedule, but he carefully broke his fast with a dense protein and fat source to avoid a sugar spike. He added fermented kimchi to his evening meals. He walked outside every single morning to trigger that brain clock, and he fiercely guarded his bedtime.
Sam stopped treating his body like a simple math puzzle of calories in versus calories out. He started treating it as a deeply linked living system. Because he aligned the fast with his natural sleep clocks and gut bugs, his main signs of winning weren't just the number on a bathroom scale. Within 6 weeks, stomach issues were totally gone. That afternoon, brain fog just disappeared.
And tracking those daily life feelings is the true sign of progress. The steady afternoon energy, the return of clear thinking, the end of belly pain. Those body signals show up weeks, sometimes months, before your body shape actually shifts.
Yes, if you aren't crashing at 3 in the afternoon and your mind is clear, the deep habits are working exactly as they should.
So what does this all mean for us? We've talked through a huge landscape of body habits today. Fasting is strongly, deeply, not a starvation state. In the short term, the break from food actually triggers a spike in alert signals, boosting your energy rate to give you the drive to go look for food. It is a deep tool for finding balance.
But its power is tied entirely to your unique body. Your gender, your starting muscle mass, your age, and the exact mix of bugs in your gut all decide which daily rhythm will serve you best. Forcing yourself into a 4-hour warrior diet when your stress signals are screaming for peace is just deeply harmful.
Steady, gentle habits always win over extreme short bursts of perfection. Taking on a gentle 14-10 or 16-8 fast, doing it well 5 days a week, will bring vastly better long-term health than starting yourself for 24 hours twice a week and binging on packaged foods in between. Your fast is only as strong as the true food you use to break it.
Absolutely.
If this deep dive gave you a new view on how your body actually handles time and food, or if you know someone who is struggling with sudden energy crashes, stubborn brain fog, or their own tough wellness journey, please share this deep dive with them. Small, gentle daily habits are the true base of long-term health. Before we close, I want to offer one thought. We spend our whole lives obsessed with what we eat, counting every macro. But what if the simple timing of your meals acts as its own unique code? Next time you look at a plate of food, don't just ask what's on it. Ask your body what time it is.
These thoughts, these questions, they don't have to stop here. Wellness Geeks has many more podcasts and videos just like this one. Subscribe to the channel and explore other episodes. They all flow the same gentle way. If this podcast felt genuinely useful to you, share it with even one person in your life. That one share can bring a real change in someone's life, and it helps Wellness Geeks reach more people who truly need this. If this brought you real value, please support it with a super thanks. Every small bit of support keeps this channel going strong. Thank you so much for being here.